Well, hello there. I hope you are all well. Just hoping everything works. Hoping everything works. It's one of them where I'm supposed to be on live, just keeping an eye on that, with AR Hayes tomorrow. And I use Ecamm Live normally with the Apple setup. This is a Windows setup. I'll probably go back to the Apple one, to be fair, because I'm having issues with this one. I can normally record through the computer, through the program, and then I'll upload it straight from the computer to YouTube. Either that, I'll do it for a camera, and then I have to send it either from the camera to a laptop, edit, and then upload, or I'll send it to my phone and do it that way. But I did the video, I think it was the second video yesterday that I did through StreamYard, and it was crap. I don't know whether that's the internet, but you'll just have to tell me how this live goes, because I think AR Hayes uses StreamYard. So hopefully that'll work, because if not, I'm going to have to postpone that and go back to Ecamm and do it through that. What a few days. What a few days. We'll get into it in a second. Obviously, I've had to delay this live, twice now? For those of you who have been around the channel for a while, you will know that Hayden, our youngest, he suffers from migraines. Those migraines have been getting worse. It's basically now where it's nigh on every day that he's getting migraines that are becoming quite bad, debilitating. The school are managing it, they're trying to manage it, but it's becoming more and more difficult to manage. Went to the doctors was quite dismissive. Done some follow my finger tests, touch your nose with your finger, and because he was able to do them tests, it was like, well, he's got nothing wrong, but he's also developed tics. They're like verbal tics, or he'll be blinking or stretching his mouth and all sorts of things. So massive migraines, becoming worse, and tics on top of that as well. So quite concerning and alarming. But the doctor then done a referral to the hospital to a specialist, but sent it through as a routine appointment. So we then get a letter saying that there's no appointments available, and it's 18 to 20 weeks before he'll get seen. So, oh my God. So it's going backwards and forwards, complaining with the hospital, obviously managing his daily migraines as well, which are, like I say, are becoming worse and quite scary at times. The downside is he's becoming he's used to them now, so he's becoming violently sick with them. So yes, I've had a few delays, and there we go. But we're here. He's at school today. Mrs. Harsh has managed to go back into work today. So I'm here. I'm here. Hello, Mr. Gunner. Good to see you, my friend. But yeah, it's one of them. If he sleeps on his stomach, try not to, because I see in sleep doctor. All of our children are mental. Like, they're trying to get them to. They sleep crazy. Like, they're upside down, all over the place. But there we go. Food intolerances. Yeah, again, he needs to see a specialist. But I'm just battling the system at the minute to try and get that done. But there we go. I hope you are all well. Anyway, that's enough of my moaning. We all have problems. What are you doing, you weirdo? The dog's beside me. Hey, come here. Up. Do you want to come up? Come up. Come here. Oh. Look who it is. Hello. Say hello. Hello, everyone. The crime dog. Old Harvey Two-Faced. You're a funny old thing, aren't you? He's a nutcase, this dog. Absolute nutcase, this animal, isn't you? Crazy. He was trying to eat my chair while I was sitting on it, which was, yeah, wouldn't you? Trying to eat my chair. Don't try and look the other way. You know what you was doing. You know what you was doing, didn't you? He was eating my chair. Don't try and... That's it. So he's going to pretend that he's going to sleep. Aren't you? Going to pretend that you're going to sleep. Or are you going to try and eat the mic? You're not eating that. Get out of it. Get out of it. Isn't you? Funny old thing. The Frenchies, they are funny animals. They are very funny animals, isn't you, mate? You're a funny old thing. But, yeah, I thought I'd have a bit of a rant, a few different things to rant about, I suppose, with the Idaho 4 case, different sort of elements, and the people like JB Gunner, he's a content creator. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. I like him because I like the fact that he speaks his mind. Like I speak my mind. There's certain things we don't agree about, but that's life. We can't all agree on everything. The downside is how you disagree with people. And thanks, dog. It's how you disagree with people, ain't it? I'll bring him back later. I'll bring the dog back later. Let me get rid of this. But yeah, I just wanted to. I didn't want to. I'm going to have to, and that is have a bit of rant. I suppose the first thing to kind of rant about is people moaning about people doing the Idaho 4 content. Do you know what I mean? The reality is people still want to see and hear about the Idaho 4 content, and as long as there is an audience for the Idaho content, and then I'll keep doing the Idaho 4 content. It would be stupid to... You don't have a shop that sells bananas and everyone loves bananas and can't get enough of those fucking bananas. And then you think, I know what I'll do. I'll remove the bananas and sell apples. And no one wants fucking apples. But you think, well, I'm going to keep selling apples and fuck the bananas, even though everyone's still going, but we want bananas. So I'm going to sell bananas until everyone's had enough of bananas. And that's all I'm going to say. Do you know what I mean? There will be people who don't like it. And, there are still things to talk about. There's people who are only just coming into this case who haven't been here from the start. They don't know everything. I still get sent emails requesting videos on stuff that we have done, we have covered. I do 2 to 3 videos a day. And some people only see one. Some people aren't on this platform every fucking day. So they might see a video and not see another one for 3 or 4 days. And they don't go back to look what you've already done. They just want the fresh stuff. They want the fresh bananas. When they start getting that brown on there, they shy away from a bit. They want not too fresh. Green bananas, they're fucking rank. Mike O'Donnell, he's pro Vajazzle, as many people know. We're a bunch of monkeys here. Do you know what I mean? It's do you know what? It's one of them. I will just say as well, I will be doing lives on different channels. I might, if you would like to see me and JB Gunner do a live together, do let me know. I'm going to go around some other channels. I've got AR Hayes tomorrow. I'm going to have a chat with him. Hello, Marie. Hello. I am going to also wait for it be on Jules' channel if everything goes to plan next Thursday, but it will be later. It will be, I think, like 11 p.m. UK time, which is like 5 p.m. Central, because I think Jules is in Central time. But there we go. But yeah, what was that? Jules did a video about both sides wasting time. I understand her point, but I don't think Anna's sitting on her ass doing nothing. Like I say, there are elements of this that which will be interesting. Me and Jules don't agree with. We agree with a lot of things, but there are some things. Like, I don't think that both sides are wasting time per se, but I get what she's saying regarding perhaps it's her mentality and allowing delay. So she's going along with it. Do you know what I mean? I think she's going along with things that she should be demanding a different way, if that makes sense. Putting a foot down, to turn around and say, no, I'm not putting up with this. I want this. I'm not getting it. And you as a judge need to start putting your foot down and getting it. And we'll touch on that in a second. JB Gunner, defence isn't wasting time. Taylor and BK would be a fool to go to trial without discovery. That's it. And people don't understand that. But again, I think that Anne, if you want to say that she is contributing to the delay, it's purely because I feel that she's being a little bit too meek. When she first come to the fold, it was like, hey, she's weighing in, do you know what I mean? Oh, she's bulldog Taylor, she's fucking got someone else, exonerated before, she's going to smash things out the park. And she hasn't, she's become very meek when she has got something to say. So like I said, she'll almost be, yeah, I want to call you a twat, but I'm not, I can't. And she needs to turn around and say, do you know what? This ain't good enough. We're a year down the track and we're waiting because I keep asking for shit and it ain't getting to me. And, that's not on. It just ain't on. And like JB Gunner said, you can't expect a guy who's being tried for a murder, a crime of this magnitude to go into trial without having all the evidence. And I know it's down to the prosecution, the burden of proof lies with them, but there is still a burden on the defense, or defenses wouldn't exist. They still have to buffer what's being said. They still have to have the ability to not be ambushed and to see stuff and think, right, so they're bringing this and this is what we're going to bring as a counter argument. This is about two sides. The prosecution saying, this is what we believe happened, this is our evidence to prove it, and this is the defense's job then to say, right, this is what they've brought to you, this is our explanation of that and why that doesn't fit with my client here. And they can't do that without all of the information. That would then, in essence, be a trial by ambush. And you know what I mean? But there is issues here, like the deadlines that are being set. For instance, let's talk about the fact that, like this here, she cannot, let me just look at this. So she cannot be too harsh yet, in my opinion. It's Bill who's throwing fits and crying each hair, and it's good to have this highlighted by her composure and calmness. But again, I agree with you, but this is why people are saying she is further perpetuating delays. Because at the end of the day, she's got a job to do and they are delaying her ability to do her job. But there will be an argument because she's getting paid $200 an hour. There'll be an argument that there isn't really an incentive for her to push. Always remember, Taylor is a public defender. She's going to milk this to the end and attempt to get a plea deal. BK is doomed without a real lawyer that gets paid to win. And again, that's a huge argument, because you've got to think that that in layman's terms, when like JB says this a lot, she's a public defender, and I know a lot of people get it, but there's some people that don't get it. And what we're saying here is you've got the state versus Brian Kohberger. So, and then you've got someone who's representing Brian Kohberger, but she also she works for these. Whereas if you had a private attorney who was the big bucks, like I've said before, the smart shirt, like lawyer, that sort of person coming in who doesn't work for the state, he's just working for his own buns, his own pocket, then he's going to, his mentality is going to be different. She is being meek because she comes from the same pot that's trying. It's like you can't be friends in this scenario. You can't have respect you can have professional courtesy, but you've got to push your loyalties to your employer, if you like, to the side if you're going to do your client the best, be the best for them. And I feel that what I'm seeing with Ann Taylor is she's not doing that yet. I'm a bit more positive towards her from what I saw in the courtroom. She's standing up and she is remaining kind of composed and saying, look, I need to do this. And most importantly, with respect of the alibi situation, for instance. So Ann Taylor is saying that in order for her to push the alibi forward and be ready with it, she needs specific information from the prosecution. Then you've got a scenario where the judge will then turn around and say, well, we want the alibi to come in by the 17th of April, I believe, off the top of my head. I think it was the 17th of April, because he was saying, you've got some information coming in from the FBI the 31st of March, so I'm going to give you this 17 days as a buffer to get your sort of your ducks in a row. How that will play out, however, is if she cannot turn around by the 17th of April and say, right, this is now the alibi. We've got the information, and this is why Brian Kohberger couldn't have been at this house doing this crime at this time. Then he won't be able to do that later. That's then inadmissible in court. He can't raise an alibi defense further on. Now, how is that fucking right? Especially, as a side note, the judge then puts in a deadline for the rest of discovery, if you like. That isn't until September. So July, you've got April, May, June, July, August, 5 months later. And you can bet your bollocks to a barn dance that the information that Ann Taylor requires in order to give the alibi is within what's been deadline for September. So why didn't the judge give a deadline for the 31st of March and then give the buffer? And that's how you know that Brian Kohberger's fucked. He is fucked. People said that this is like people say he has no alibi. He's just trying to form one, just admit it, which I appreciate people's opinion. And this will be perpetuated by the prosecution. They will turn around and say, you can't give him too long because he can formulate an alibi. But that's not true, is it? Because if he can prove that he was, say, 50 miles away or 20 miles away, even 10 miles away, however, at the time that the law enforcement are saying that someone was seen in that house and they believe the crimes took place, and he can prove that with vehicular data or cell phone data, then how is it? You're saying that he's trying to form one. What if he is just trying to obtain the data he's required to prove that he was somewhere else? There you go. Like JB Gunner said here, most of us don't have an alibi at 4 a.m., especially if we live alone, which is a fact. If someone accused me of doing a crime 20 years ago at 4 a.m. in the morning, I'd be as fucked as what he was. But do you know what I mean? Even like here, even better, a camera with a time. Exactly. And that's what they're requesting. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for this information. Now, has Brian Kohberger said, Ann, look, I didn't do this, Ann. I didn't do it. I was driving around. I was driving around here, and here. Do you know what I mean? Now, Ann Taylor should really, if Brian Kohberger said, I was driving around over here, in theory, you would think that Ann Taylor would be able to acquire that information herself. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I know, but what is her jurisdiction over obtaining, in her capacity, camera footage and stuff from, if Brian was to say, I was driving around, 10 miles in the opposite fucking direction. Could she get that? I don't know. But what's Jack's alibi? Exactly, and this isn't about accusing Jack of doing anything. This isn't saying that Jack DeCure or Jack Showalter did anything, or any of them done anything around it. So the various names that have crept up. but how many of them would genuinely be able to provide you with an alibi that is better than Brian Kohberger's at that time? I was sleeping. Who was you sleeping with? I was sleeping with my mate. I've said this before. Do you know what I mean? And your mate turned around, yeah, he was here with me. Unless they've got a fucking camera that's ran by the government on them, you know what I mean? I just don't get it. He is going to be found guilty, so this will go away, and university and town can go back to normal, I'm guessing that is. What is Bethany Funk's exculpatory evidence? Again, will we ever learn what Bethany Funk's exculpatory evidence? Maybe Bethany Funk's exculpatory evidence is just a rendition of that evening that contradicts Dylan Mortensen. Then you've got a problem, haven't you? She could turn around and say, well, I didn't even know Dylan Mortensen was here. I thought she was somewhere else. You know, she could turn around and say, well, I didn't hear anything, or I heard thumping and banging about and arguing at 2:00 in the evening. I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought people were arguing. The naked person. You know, I heard arguing and then someone leaving butt naked at 3:00. You don't know what it is. But all we can do is get without evidence and facts. All we can do is speculate. We don't know anything. What pisses me off is the guilters, the people who will sit down and say Brian Kohberger's 100% guilty. He did this crime. You're a fucking idiot for thinking that he didn't. But still to this day, they can't turn around and give you anything other than, oh, he was separating his trash. What fucking weirdo separates his trash? Well, as far as I know, his father's DNA was actually found in the neighbour's trash, what they used to build this family tree. So he weren't just separating his own stuff. Do you know what I mean? He was. I've separated. Literally, what was it? Sunday night was putting trash in our neighbour's bin because ours was full. We're a family of 5 and our neighbour is a family of 2. And we were out of space and I put stuff in the neighbour's bin. That's just something that we do. You know, I just don't, that's not proof that, you know, I'm not going to go out and murder someone. Do you know what I mean? But there we go. It wasn't silent in that house. Both of them heard everything if they were in that house when this happened, yes. And that's where the exculpatory evidence situation comes into play. You know, the specific words were that or I'll paraphrase slightly, is that Bethany Funk's version of events that night, which are unique to her, obviously differed from what was put in the PCA. You know, it seems you've got 2 surviving roommates and 2 different stories, and you can't tell me that that one of those roommates, Bethany Funk's version of events, weren't kept out of the PCA for a reason. And the only reason that can be is because they either contradicted one another or they'd have led to confusion. So people would have went, hold on a second, that don't make, if she's saying that and she's saying that, and technically you've got 2 simultaneous situations seemingly identical to one another, but on a different time frame, different timeline. And you know, if this naked person being seen is accurate, then she sees a naked person leaving the house. She might have seen some fucking or heard some ruckus in the house. And then you got this person, Dylan Mortensen, who also saw someone leaving the house and a ruckus at this time. And the whole thing falls down to the ground, doesn't it? Because the prosecution have decided to go with Bethany Funk's version of events to tie in this white Hyundai Elantra that I still think to this day someone tipped them off. Someone tipped the police off very early, and maybe it was indeed Brian's family. Maybe it was Brian's family. Maybe it was his sister. Worst part of all this is that we got to continue to speculate for another year, and I'm secretly rooting for a new Idaho 4 to pass time. I will say this, and I've got a video coming out later today, and it kind of hits on something what JB Gunner literally just said there. 3 things to consider if you want to consider that Brian Kohberger is potentially innocent. And what that means, the implications that has on law enforcement and Moscow, Idaho as a place. So keep your eyes open, because that's coming later. But you can't wonder why there's so many people who are Brian Kohberger guilters when you've got fucking articles like this. So let's just go on to this, look. This article here. So Brian Kohberger trial delay, buys defense time to build alibi. And again, they're pushing this fucking alibi issue, saying that, he build an alibi. He was fucking driving. They're asking for cast information. They're asking for information from cameras. They're asking for data from the car. The information that the FBI has had for how long? How long? I said this, and I've said this time and time again. Ann Taylor was waiting for telephone data. She was waiting for, cell data. She was waiting for car data, and she's waiting for it from the FBI. And this has been going on months and months and months. There's one known eyewitness to the University of Idaho student murders, a housemate who overheard sounds of a struggle and came face to face with a masked intruder on the night 4 undergrads were stabbed to death in Moscow, Idaho. By the time the case goes to trial, years have passed with potential implications on her memory of the events. So her memory of the events, let's just put this into perspective. I saw someone, I heard noises. We've pretty much heard the whole story. I saw someone athletically built, round 5 foot fucking 10, whatever, dressed in black with a fucking ski mask on and bushy eyebrows. How the fuck are you going to forget that? What is there to remember? What is there to remember? How would she forget that? Anyway, I digress. She didn't fucking said anything. Meanwhile, Brian Kohberger's defense has brought more time to build up an alibi and pore over vast amounts of other evidence. Oh, poor fucker. Latah County District Judge John Judge is still weighing scheduling and a defense motion to have the trial moved to another county, which is the next hearing, by the way. There's another hearing, and that will be to conclude that. I think we know how that's going to go. And the victims' families are still waiting for justice, which is a travesty. They shouldn't still be waiting for justice. I agree with that. It should be over. But I will say as well, cases of this magnitude generally take longer. It's not like you look at the Delphi case, for instance. I'm listening carefully to both sides, and it's a complicated case, he said during a Wednesday hearing. It's a death penalty case. Well, it shouldn't be complicated, should it? What's complicated about it? Did he do it? Didn't he do it? If he did it, can you prove it? Have you got the evidence to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, which you should do? That's what you was claiming via the grand jury indictment. Do you know what I mean? After Kohberger's arrest at the end of December 2022, a trial had been penciled in for October 2023. Kohberger waived his right to speedy proceedings, postponing the trial. Then it should say, because the defense was still awaiting discovery, what they had requested at this time about 7 times, and it's now about 11 times. More recently, prosecutors requested a trial date for this June, but the defense asked for more time to prepare. See how they've said this? They have literally worded it. Prosecutors requested a trial date for this June, but the defense asked for more time to prepare, seeking a date no earlier than summer of 2025. How the fuck can they get away with that shit? And you wonder why you've got people in the comments, other channels doing videos, people saying that this is the defense taking a piss. They're just trying to fabricate fucking lies and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane. Right, where am I? I need to go back to that. Fucking laptop's touchscreen. I keep doing something with it. Right, what do we got? The families of 2 victims, Katie Gonsalves, 21, and Xana Knodel, 20, said in a joint statement that regardless of when the case goes to trial, everything will be reviewed with a fine-tooth comb, whether on appeal or by the public. We want to start healing, we do. We want to find justice and try to move on from this horrible tragedy. So please start making some decisions, get to work and quit playing the delay game, they said through their attorney, Sharon Gray. And I did a video yesterday that had a clip of Steve Gonsalves in an interview with Buttfucker. And there you go. There you have it, what his thoughts are. The other victims were Gonsalves' best friend, Madison Mogan, and Canodal's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. Long delays could have a negative impact on witnesses for the defense, said James Scazzazzi, a Michigan-based attorney who has represented murder suspects at trial. Witnesses forget events or even die. So anyone who's a witness for the defense possibly could die. That's what they said. Ain't that the truth? Brian Koberger could die, yeah. Say jumped off the roof. Depending on the length of time between charges and trial, he told Fox News Digital, the defendant essentially loses his ability to confer with potential defense witnesses or even to keep track of their whereabouts. Hard to present a defense in those situations. Also, evidence gets lost or destroyed, which is the argument that's been ongoing why a lot of discovery hasn't been handed over. It doesn't exist anymore. It's already happening. That cuts both ways, impacting prosecutors as well. The delays are bad for the prosecution, said Nima Rami, a former assistant U.S. attorney, whose cases included the successful prosecution of a fugitive killer featured on America's Most Wanted, Logan Quiroga. Witness memories fade and evidence can disappear over time, and the victims' families deserve justice, Ramani added. If the defense doesn't expect helpful testimony from the lone eyewitnesses, delays could be part of their plan, said Joseph Giacalone, a retired NYPD sergeant and a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. But that's not his main concern. Delay until everyone forgets or dies, he told Fox News Digital. I have worries about the case. Delays aren't one of them. Those issues, he said, are related to physical evidence in the case. Well, one of the biggest pieces of physical evidence has been knocked down, hasn't it, Green? I have the two big ones, he said, how the crime scene was handled and what, if anything, was found in this vehicle. There's no way you could pull a vicious scene like that off without transferring blood out into the snow and into his vehicle. So shall we listen to that again? And remember, this is a cop saying this. I have two big ones. How the crime scene was handled and what, if anything, was found in his vehicle. There's no way he could pull a vicious scene like that off without transferring blood out into the snow and into his vehicle. And remember, this is an update. This isn't an old article, by the way. This is a new article from like 2 days ago. Giacalone has questioned the integrity of the crime scene during the early stages of the investigation. The eventual release of the scene and personal effects inside the home via U-Haul truck being driven by fucking Fry. Did the gatekeeper keep a record of who entered the crime scene at what time, what they did and what time they left, he asked. Lots of videos where the cop never gets out of the car. Was there a sign-in sheet inside? Who was supervising it being used? He took issue with the decision to return the victims' belongings to family members while police were still monitoring the scene, and he highlighted the initial decision to bring in a cleaning crew to clear out the house, which was cancelled the following day before a suspect had been arrested and defense investigators arrived. Remember, that was pulled by Ann Taylor. Koberger, a 29-year-old Pennsylvania criminology PhD student, was attending Washington State University in Pullman, across the state line from Moscow, Idaho, where prosecutors allege he entered an off-campus home around 4 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, and massacred 4 students with a large knife. And there we have it. There we have it. It's absolute insanity. But, you know, what's with you guys? I just want to go into comments here. You know, we're live. Let's make the most of being live for the next few minutes. what are the big things for you guys? Even if you're a Brian Kohberger, whether you're a supporter of justice and the proper system, or you're someone who thinks, I believe Brian Kohberger is guilty, what are the things that annoy you in this case? What for you is the main thing that makes your blood boil and you think to yourself, this ain't right, this is not right? And I know there's a lot, but what's the big one? Jack Johnson, spoiler alert, taser, thud, silence. BK worked in security for 5 years, part-time, 2016-21, experienced the use of a taser and training. Have you heard a taser being fired? Or a stun gun, for instance, not necessarily a taser gun, because I don't think that would be like that style. It would have, because you only get one shot. He's not going to have time to reload cartridges and all that, you know what I mean? And then retract the cartridges. But he could have had a stun gun, a handheld one. But they make a noise. Like, they are loud. If you've got it at such a high voltage that is shocking someone and taking them out, they make one hell of a crack. And that would, again, be something that would have potentially been mentioned. I'm not 100% sure, I could be wrong and they've left that out, but it would have been, if you think there's a thud being heard on the camera and whimpering and people hearing somebody say quietly, I'm here to help you, you would have heard the crack of a taser. So I've been told. I haven't ever tasered anyone, stun gunned anyone, but I've heard one. I definitely have never used one to subdue anyone. Do you think the prosecutor is hiding something? Because based on what the defense lawyer said, they haven't still received anything. They've received bits. She has said she's received bits, but just not in its totality. And some of the things that she's received, like, for instance, the autopsy bits and pieces that she's requested, something to do with some x-rays that were sent in thumbnails. Do you know what I mean? It's this, like, you've got to wonder why they're asking for x-rays. I would say that is to look at the consistency of the K-bar versus the injuries, and also to ascertain whether the injuries were done by the same weapon or there was multiple weapons used. Grand jury with no evidence. Hello to all of the people coming in, by the way. I think it's quite nice. We're a bit quieter. We're a little bit quieter when doing them in the mornings. Verity. My biggest problem is the judge seeing all of the IGG and deciding what the defense can see. Yeah. Some things as well. I don't like they obviously got Brian Kohberger's father's DNA in order to start the family tree. I've always wondered how that impacts his actual rights as a citizen. For them to get his DNA without his knowing, and to then utilise that in the manner with which they are hiding. I'm sure there may be something in law that says that that's a little bit of a grey area. Don't forget to smash that like button. We've got law officers of Andrew D. Myers in the house. There's something extremely fishy in that 911 call has not been released. Yeah, again, I think they're just trying to stop people from concentrating too much on the destruction of the crime scene. How many people were there? If there was a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on in the background, people are going to start thinking, well, that crime scene was knackered. The crime scene was ruined. I don't know. I would like to hear that 911 call. Like we hear them all the time. They're out all the time. And in horrendous crimes as well, we hear 911 calls. The fact that it isn't is a little bit odd, but there will be a reason for it. We just don't know what that is. It's like everything else. I haven't been impressed by Ann Taylor so far. I think she's in over her head. Brian needs a better lawyer. I don't believe that he'd be in the same position he is now if he had what I would call a high-paid attorney, like a power attorney, you know what I mean? I don't believe he'd be in the same yeah, I don't think he'd be in the same position. Yeah, if we can put some links in the chat for JB Gunner and the law officers of Andrew D. Myers, please. That would be fantabulous. I would do it, but if I press the wrong button, I'll probably screw the whole thing up. Da-da-da-da. You see interrogation videos all the time before trial. Exactly. You see, you hear 911 calls. It's like the Summer Wells case, what I did a live about the other night. We still haven't heard the fucking that, have we? The 911 call in that. Da-da-da-da. Smash that like button. Let's see if we can get likes over 300. Have we got to start threatening people? Smash that like button or I'll smash you. There we go. It's better, isn't it? I seem to have managed to wipe off all the comments. 911 call will ruin their timeline. It could be that. It could be that. Or I've always considered whether during that 911 call that we haven't heard, they make reference to an earlier 911 call, which would be problematic. Obviously, we've had the question as to whether there was an earlier 911 call. Some people thought that Steve Gonsalves had referenced an earlier 911 call. I kind of concluded that he didn't say that. If he did, he kind of misspoke. But I know it sounds crazy, but $200 an hour for a lawyer is pretty low, 2-bit. It was low in the 1990s. Now, yeah, this is like what I was saying. I know I misspoke yesterday by saying $200 a day. I didn't mean hours. I'd done the document the day before, which was like a public access as to what she was getting paid. But yeah, it is low. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot for some people. You know, it's I wouldn't mind getting $200 an hour for taking a piss out of Santa in court. Did Kohberger get his hooks into the vulnerable co-packer? That's the only thing that could make sense to me. And this is something that we've spoken about previously. You know, it is, isn't it? It's one of them. Did he fucking wind him up and send him off? You know, it is a possibility. It is definitely a possibility. And, you know, I know it annoyed people yesterday. And I'll just sort of touch on this. Again, I'm going to cover this later in the video that I release later more in depth. But the reason why I bring up Brent Kopacker, it's not to be disrespectful. It's not. You know, I know that he was a serviceman and, he done very brave things for his country. And, you know, God bless him. But just because they've done these things, that don't mean that they cannot do atrocious things later. You know, the damage that was done in conflict can manifest itself in ways that can make them hurt people. And, you know, and again, did Brian Kohberger wind him up and rev him off and the rest is history? And, you know, we know that he had an episode. There's so many things that you turn around and you think to yourself, is this simply a coincidence then? That Brian Kohberger, Washington University, he gets accused of doing this crime, murdering roommates, and then a few days later you have a situation where you've got an ex-serviceman who is likely, his friend tells us that he's a knife and machete collector. He's the most likely, apart from the fraternity members who we've seen in pictures with K-bar knives. You know, he's this, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I was reading something at the same time. And and having access to this weaponry, but also having the skill to be able to not only pull this off, but do it so quickly. And it is quick. It is quick to go into a property, not thinking about who's in there. Because you've got to think, it's not just a movement through the house. Anybody can do a cartoon or a 3D image of someone going around a house. and moving a little stick model around a house like that. But it's when you actually have to factor in getting to the property, seeing all the cars, having the brain, having the ability to overcome the apprehension of going into a house where there could be 20 people in there and you don't know what's going on in there. Unless someone's rung you and said, right, you need to come in now because so-and-so's asleep, or so-and-so's there. If you're going in blind and then you walk in here, it's getting around the house, it's managing your way around. It's doing the crime, not letting the fact that you've just done it. And if the injuries to Kaylee Gonsalves are accurate, then doing this and then moving on to the next person. And then getting out and being able to not drag anything out of the house, get into a car, drive away. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have the brain, it takes a special kind of person. And someone who's already seen conflict, been in conflict, lived conflict, breathed conflict is just someone. And I think to myself, law enforcement, if Brian Kohberger isn't the person and they know he's not the person, for instance, if we wanted to go down that route, then they have to be pretty confident that this isn't going to happen again. The only other way they could be that confident is if they think that the person who did do it ain't no longer with us. So there isn't going to be a recurrence. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to come up? Do you want to come back? Marley, do you want to come up? Come. Let's grab him. Hello again. He wants to come back, don't you? You want to come back? Hello. What do you think? But that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's so many things to moan and rant about. Like we said at the beginning, the people who don't want us to talk about the case. Do you know what I mean? You can't not talk about the case when people still want to hear about it and there are still things to talk about. You like talking about it, don't you? Hey? Show them your double face, look. Show them your brown face. Who's that on there, look? Who's that on the telly? Marley. Who's that? Who is it? Who is it? Are you trying to ignore me? Do you want some food? Do you want to walk? Do you want to go for a walk? He fucking hates walks. He hates walks more than I do. And I'm doing cardio every morning and like every evening. The only person who hates it more is him. I might try and put you on the treadmill, mate. At least that'd be warmer, wouldn't it? That'd be warmer. Hey? Do you want to go back down? You're a funny old thing, aren't you? Are you trying to pose for the camera? That's it. Give him that, look. Are you trying to... What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What's up there? He's just gone to sleep. But there you go. Do you know what I mean, guys? It was a little bit of a rant. That he has big ears. I hope you're talking about a dog and not me. Do you want to go down? I'll pick you up in a minute. You keep covering me in hair, you little scrubber. But yeah, I don't know what to think. At the end of the day, if you're in this now, if you're in this case, you truly have followed it, you're truly paying attention, then the only thing you can conclude is that we don't know what's going on. You know, I did this, didn't I? Where is it? Let me see if I can grab this. Let's get rid of that. Get me to get this up. Go back to here. I'll see if I can share this. Let's see if we can share this. Go to community, and I should be able to share this. Go back to studio and present, share screen, this. It's the only bad thing, isn't it? When you're when you're doing live, you can't cut out all that. Yeah, I'll just get this, get that. So we did with the recent court hearings. This was literally the other day. Look. Showing us some of the failings on both sides of the case. Where do you stand? And like I say, when I say both sides of the case, what I'm talking about is, again, I feel that Ann Taylor is being too meek. She needs to grow some balls. She needs to throw her weight about a bit and start demanding things that she needs to happen are happening. Like how she sat there the other day, for instance, how she sat there and what the fuck am I doing? Hold on. Let's go back to that. How she allowed them to say that they only had till the 17th of April to get the information regarding an alibi, and then in the next breath say that, you know, till September, for instance, for the discovery. How did she just allow that? How is that right? To say, I'm working on an alibi defense, we need this information, and for him to give her such a fucking small window of opportunity. How did she let him get away with that? But anyway, what was I saying? So is Brian Koberger guilty? And there was 3,000 votes on this. You've got 17% saying, fuck yeah, he's guilty. Fuck no, 25%. So a quarter. And fuck no's, 55%. And then 3% change the record harsh. So again, out of 3,000 people, only 3% of them said change the record. And some of them probably only clicked on it because I put the fucker there. I get some people are fed up with it, but that's tough. But do you know what I mean? For half people, fuck knows, and that's where you should be. That's the right place to be. To not know. If you are in the absolutely balls deep in Brian Koberger being innocent, then you haven't been paying attention. If you're 100% in the Brian Koberger's guilty camp, then you absolutely have not been paying attention. But somewhere with the possibility that either or, and there are things that are happening that shouldn't be happening, that's the spot on place to be, and you're being proper. You are being a proper person. Why is BK so calm? I don't think he was very calm the last time. He weren't fucking happy, mate. He weren't happy because he could see Ann Taylor getting railroaded and she just walked. You know. But there you go. I've seen defence lawyers, public defenders and private be blunt in a personal way, and I don't think she is aggressive. I think she should. Yeah, I think she should put her foot down. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up while you're sipping coffee. Do you know what? I've had to give up coffee because I'm training. I'm back doing training again, and while I'm training, I don't drink coffee. Mainly because I don't like coffee without sugar in it, and I'm not having sugar. So I am really struggling with not having coffee. Can't stand how Ann Taylor keeps apologising to the court. Again, this is just to do with her meekness. She's saying something and then kind of trying. It's like when I'll give you an example. It's like when you've got friends, do you know what I mean? Friend or a family member. And to some of you, I want you to tell me either a number one if you've done it and a number two if you haven't done it. So in a second, number one if you've done it, number two. And it's either a friend or family member and they're messaging you, and you think to yourself, you twat. And you say something which you mean, like, you're a fucking idiot, you pissed me off, and then put a laughing face at the end of it because you thought to yourself, you've pissed me off. And what I've just written there, I mean it, but I'm going to put a smiling face to try and soften it down a bit. So I feel like I've got it off my chest, but you don't truly realise that I want to punch your face in. Number one, if you've done it, and number two, if you haven't. I do it all the time. multiple times a day. Multiple times. You dickhead, laughing face, meaning you are actually a dickhead. But that laughing face just makes them all like, you dickhead. You twat. One, have to smooth shit out. Yeah. That's it. You dickhead, laughy face. I even sent it to the wrong person. I've done that before. In my younger days, I got into some fucking trouble, I tell you. Sending messages to the wrong people. Not very good if you're friends with girls who have got the same name. Not as I said friends. I meant that. Friends. I think they were POS, providing services. Thus, he mentioned Bethany Kay. Dad mentioned her love for searching out the evils in this world, one being trafficking. Hello, people coming in late. I drank an entire pot of coffee before 6 a.m, fifth of liquor by 6 p.m. Like they say, whatever time of day it is, it's 5 o'clock in the evening somewhere. So you can drink alcohol whatever time. I drink coffee with milk and I train in gym and walk power walks. That's good. I'm on Peloton. I've just bought a Peloton tread. So I'm on, if any of you are on Peloton, I'm actually on there under Real Harsh. So, yeah, there you go. For those of you who don't know what Peloton is, it's where people go to try and get fit without leaving the house. I don't get time. There's a lot of people who are on the fence. There's a lot of people who think he's guilty. There's a lot of people who think he's innocent. Like I said, when's your next trip to Florida? Did you know, saying this, the kids, right, actually want to go back there? I thought I'd been bumped on the head. In fact, Mrs. Harsh was trying to book this, and I think she's going to book it just to stitch me fucking up. I think we're going to end up going back there. And I think we're going to end up going back here at the end of this month. So if I start doing videos from the fucking Bronx again, you'll know that something fucking went wrong. And I weren't able to stop things happening. I just have a really horrible feeling that that's going to happen. Because you know what kids are like? Kids are funny creatures. You know, you can say, look, we want to go here, and that's beautiful. And they're like, yeah, but there ain't a fucking mudslide. There ain't a broken down house with burnt out windows that we can go and look at. Better come to real Florida next. I saw JB Gunn. I am going to. Like, Hayden wants to go to America. The issue that we have with Hayden, with his migraines at the moment, he's not good. Like, traveling wise, he's not good. And his biological father is a useless sack of shit. I don't know whether you guys have heard the fucking story of what happened there. I'll probably do another live. You don't want me to start going on about that. It's fucking insane. His father's insane. Thank you very much. I will hold you to that. Like I say, I've actually got family in Fort Lauderdale. Got family there, and Lincoln in Nebraska as well. My cousin has lived in Fort Lauderdale for years and years. Her daughter still lives in the UK, but her son lives in Lincoln, Nebraska. But yeah, they've lived there for years. My cousin is with someone who's in the US Army. That's how she went over there. New York, that's where I want to go. I want to go to New York. Try and see Casey Neistat on his fucking electric scooter. But anyway, there you go. I think we've wrapped it up. We're done for an hour. I didn't want to go any longer than an hour. Everything seems to work. I'm going to have to go and sit down and watch through this and make sure that everything's all right. And everything goes to plan and we're all good for tomorrow evening. Don't forget, before I can go, will someone just drop in a link for a Convict's Thoughts with A.R. Hayes in the chat, please? So if you want to watch us over on there tomorrow night, don't forget to subscribe to A.R. Hayes. And if you'd like to see more morning lives instead of, I did question this the other day, and like I say, I was going to do it. The only reason I didn't is because I had issues with StreamYard. Like I say, my Ecamm Live setup with 4K, much better, but it's not. I don't want to keep being stuck in the studio. I needed something that was more portable, easier. So I got a little portable setup for when I can move about. So I bought this fucking Samsung touchscreen laptop 360 thing that turns into a tablet. I've obviously got an iPhone 15 Pro as kind of a second screen. The camera I'm using is actually a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 with a funny key light, Falcon Eyes key light. But it will literally, I can wrap it all up, take it all down, and be gone. You know, if we go on, if I ended up back in that shithole, then I can just fold this and take it. You know, the mic is built into the it's a a lapel mic with a that's the DJI mic 2 with a lavalier mic plugged into it that's connected wirelessly to the camera. Harsh changes backdrops more than I change girlfriends. Well, again, this room is actually my room. This is my my den. This is my den. What I can do and everything. We've got 2 lounges, and this is mine. So I've got the main setup. I've got a Peloton setup in there. This in there, TV, obviously, Xbox, all that stuff, and yeah. But we have to make the most of the space that we've got. So, you know, there we go. Well, I'm going to love you and leave you all. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Keep your eyes peeled. In about, what have we got? 12. So in about 2.5 hours, my second video will come out. I'm sure it's going to piss some people off. Can't keep everyone happy, and I don't intend to try. Thank you for all of you guys who came and spent an hour with us. And I will keep you updated on Hayden, definitely. And yeah, we'll catch up. Hopefully, I don't even know what day it is tomorrow. I might do a live tomorrow. If enough people request a live in comments after this, I will do another live tomorrow morning. Perhaps have a look at the news and see what's in the news, shall we? Have a non-Idaho 4 day tomorrow, unless something fucking mad happens in the meantime. But until then, you take care, look after yourselves, have a fantastic day. You all look absolutely amazing, and I hope your day goes as amazing as you look. I'll catch you all in the next one.